Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Meseches CHULLIN Daf Nun Ches. We are right on the bottom of Zayin Amud Beis. Amar Ameimar. Ameimar tells us the following: Hani Bei. So these are eggs that were laid by a treifa bird. So eggs coming from a treifa bird, are they permitted or not? We turn to the next Talmud. Shichla Kama. It depends. The first batch, the ones that were actually mid-production, the ones that were actually being produced, that were inside the chicken, when the event occurred, when it became a treifa, asira, they are asr. So that first batch is asr. Rashi explains on the second line from the top. He says, "The ubar yerach imayihu," because the unborn, in this case, the eggs, are part and parcel of the mother, bird. V'imanitirfu, and when the treifa episode occurred, it impacted the mother and the unborn and the partially developed eggs within it. They have experienced that event. They became a treifa together with the mother, with the chicken. So that's clear. Asira. That first batch is asir. Mekan ve'elach, past that point, the next batch of eggs and so forth. And by the way, it clearly seems from Ameimar that a treifa bird can produce further, can have offspring, right? We had that discussion yesterday, so it's clear that he holds he could, at least according to this version. And therefore he differentiates. The first batch is asr, mekan ve'elach, past that point, it's okay, because the chicken germinates from the rooster, in which case we have two causes, two catalysts, so to speak, for the egg production here. We have the treifa mother and the kosher father. Mekan ve'elach havalei zeh, you have this, v'zeh and this, goyim, both causing, both producing this result, the eggs, umutar, and that's why it's okay. So he's going with the shita that when we have two causations, two catalysts, two drivers, zeh v'zeh goyim, it's okay. Eisfei Rav Ashi, he has a question, la meimar. V'shavin, all agree, it's referring to a machlekes between Rabbi Eliezer and the Rabbanan regarding an animal offspring, not an egg offspring, but an animal offspring, a vlad of a behema, which is a treifa. There's machlekes whether it's okay, whether it's not. We assume it's rooted in this question of how to treat zeh v'zeh goyim. You have the offspring coming from the mother who's a treifa, but the father animal is not a treifa, so it's zeh v'zeh goyim. Rabbi Eliezer says it's okay, Chacham say it's not. But all agree by an egg coming out of a treifa chicken, v'shavin v'beitas treifa shasura. It's certainly also why because it was produced in a forbidden setting. It came from a forbidden, a treifa, a chicken. Hold it, why? According to Ameimar, it's okay because there is another element of growth involved. There's the rooster who's okay. Zeh v'zeh goyim is mutar. Hasam b'desaf mi'ara. That's talking where the chicken germinated from the ara, warming up on the ground, so it didn't have that fertilization aspect coming from a heter source. So it's solely, completely self-produced, produced from a treifa, and therefore it's asr. Okay. Asks the Gemara, why do we have to come on to that, anomalous type of case? Well, he could have just answered simply. It was the first batch that was present within the chicken while it became a treifa, which even Ameimar agrees to be asr, right? Well, he could have answered to him, b'shich lekama, we're speaking about the first batch. Well, the wording doesn't indicate as such. And because if it were so, that it's the first batch, so it started growing when it was still okay. And then the mother turned the treifa midway, it shouldn't have said gedela be'isr, which indicates that the entire egg entity was manufactured in an Isser factory. It should have said Gomra. It finished. It was completed once the mother turned treifa, if in fact that's what happened. In Cain, if that was so gedela, it wouldn't say gedela be'isser, which sounds like the entire thing was manufactured be'isser, which sounds more like to be the safran me'ara option, that it was there was no rooster, no kosher rooster involved at all. So the whole production process completely from beginning to end was done be'isser. Gomer, in your suggestion, your scenario where the issue was that it was the first batch that was present when the mother became a treif, it should have said Gomra. It was concluded, finished in an Isser state. If in fact it would have been talking about that case, the fact that it doesn't say Gomra, it says Gadla, indicates that we're talking about a totally different scenario where the rooster was not involved at all, he wasn't a player, and therefore there's only one cause, the mother chicken, which is a treifa, which produced this thing from beginning to end, and it's not kosher. Says the Gemara. So, according to this, that when the Mishnah teaches that all agree, Rabbi Lezer and Rabban agree, that by the egg it's treif, that's because there was only one cause, one goyrem. There was no zachar, there was no male involved, there was no rooster involved. It's only one cause, which is treif. So let's shift over to the case where there is a dispute, the case of the animal offspring. Rabbi Lezer says it's okay, Chacham say it's not okay. So it must be that there it's different. Why is it different? Because there are two causes, two drivers. There's the mother and the father. So evidently, in the sequence of events, it was like this. The mother became a treifa, mother animal. Then it was impregnated by the kosher male. So now you have two causes, two geiremim. You have the mother animal who's treif, father animal who's kosher. And that's your classic zev is a geirem, right? Elo does not. Okay, so then let's go to explain the Mishnah. Vlad treifa, the offspring of a treifa animal. Rablezo Omer, lo yikra gav mizbeach. It's unsuitable as a carbon. Right? Just as a treifa is unsuitable, offspring as well. Rabbi Shoimer, yikra gav mizbeach. You could bring it to the mizbeach, but Ma'akim Miflik, what's the machlekes about? It must be b'shenitrifa. Firstly, the mother became a treifa, and in that state, then she carried this offspring, which was generated by the father animal as well. We have two causes, and that's the machlekes. Rabbi Lezer Savar, zev is a goyim aser. He says even when we have two separate causes, we ignore the heter, we say it's aser. Rabbi Shua Savar, zev is a goyim mutter. In this case, we reckon with the father animal who was kosher, and the offspring is kosher as well. Okay, so that must be the basis for the machlekes. If that's the issue at hand, why are they limiting their focus on suitability for carbon use? Just speak plainly. Question is whether we can eat it, whether it's fit for regular consumption. Is it a treifa or not? Instead of discussing whether it's suitable for a carbon, they could have, for the same money, discussed whether it's a kosher for an ordinary person to eat. The answer is Ladicha Koichet Rabbi Shua. It was meant to emphasize, to highlight the opinion of Rabbi Shua, who allows it to be used even as a carbon. I mean, that's a pretty strong statement. It's even suitable for Gavaya for Mizbeach. Alternatively, they could have argued about ordinary consumption, and it would have highlighted Rabbi Lezer's shita, who forbids it even for a regular person, who has, relatively lower standards than the Beis HaMikdash, right? To highlight the power, the position, the Rabbi Lezer. Even lahayit for a regular person, nami asr, it's also asr. So why do we prefer highlighting Rabbi Yeshua's permissibility as a carbon versus Rabbi Yeshua's prohibition for ordinary use? The answer is, classic answer, koyach detira adif. The power of permissibility is stronger. Adiflei. The Tana preferred highlighting something that's permissible, that's mutter. in a grand way. And Rashi in Maseches Beitza says it takes more knowledge and confidence, right? It's very easy to say, oh, we don't know, let's refrain. We don't know, let's be machmer. It's easier to say, okay, just, back off. But koyach de heter shows expertise, shows knowledge. It's an expression of confidence and clarity. Okay, umaydim. Now the Mishnah there concludes. This whole discussion relates only to an animal, which came about from two sources, two garmim, two causes. Okay, umaydim, but all agree, bebeitas treifa shasura. The egg from a treifa is asur, and it must be because b'desaf from the ar, like we explained, it was fertilized just from the ara, from the ground, and it was not involving which didn't involve a heter element of like a rooster. The chad garim, there's one cause, and therefore we just focus on the mother chicken, who's a treifa, and likewise the egg. Okay, so let's just stop for a second. According to this approach, which is going to be the first of two versions, Ameimar evidently holds that even a treifa, animal or bird, can have offspring, can produce eggs, etc. So what is the issue? The issue is, it really depends. If the mother animal on her own was the sole cause for this product, the egg or the offspring, the animal, in which case it's asur, or if there's something else involved, a rooster or another kosher animal, in which case we have the issue of zev zagayrim, and that's the machlekes, which pertains to personal use, pertains to suitability as a carbon, right? But again, all agree that if it's shichla kama, the eggs that were already in the chicken, when it became a treifa, Rashi says that got impacted by the event, and the treifa event impacted the entire entity, the chicken with its eggs inside. Okay. Rav Acha savaluk Rav Acha bar Yaakov. So Rav Acha, his opinion was like Rav Acha bar Yaakov, who ruled for us yesterday that a treifa can give birth, can have offspring. And therefore he had Ameimar's lesson as we have learned, meaning he had the first version, which was based on the premise that a treifa can continue on, carry on, and have offspring and eggs. However, Ravina had a totally different approach. Lo yisavar he didn't hold the Rav Acha bar Yaakov that a treifa can carry on, and therefore he had a different version of Ameimar's presentation, based on the premise that a treifa cannot produce further. He had a different version of Ameimar. We have a chicken who's in a state of uncertainty, whether or not he's a treifa. He was trampled, he was attacked, but status is unknown. So what is the halachic status of his eggs? The shichla kama, his first batch of eggs, ones that were already in there when the treifa incident occurred, you can't eat it. You have to wait it out. Mashinalu. You put them on the side, we wait them out, and we see what happens to the chicken. If it carries on, continues producing, that confirms that it's not a treifa and everything's okay. If it resumes and produces more sharian, everything's okay. That confirms that it's not a treifa, because a treifa cannot produce eggs. But otherwise, asir, and everything's asir. Says the Gemara. Okay, so now we have a different version of Ameimar. And now comes Rav Ashi's question. The whole previous discussion will apply here as well, but in a slightly different version, based on this new premise, this new approach. Eisvei Rav Ashi la Ameimar, on which Rav Ashi asked Ameimar. From that Mishnah there, where there's a machlekes, Rav Lezer and Chachamim regarding an offspring of a treifa. Rav Lezer says it's asur, Chacham say it's mutar, and the Mishnah concludes Umaydim all agree, meaning even Rav Lezer agrees. Even the Chacham agree. Bebeitas treifa shasura. Egg from a treifa bird is asur. Because it grew it was produced in a forbidden setting. the question is, how do you even get an egg out of a treifa? I thought a treifa doesn't lay eggs. Amalei Samema responded, Hasam b'deshich kama. Sure, a treifa can't have more eggs. We're talking about the eggs that were already inside, the first batch, when it became a treifa in Cain. Well, if that's the case, why does the Brisa choose the word gadla, which sounds like the entire egg was produced from a treifa? Gamra mibayle. Rather, it should have said gamra. It was concluded, it was produced, it was finished in a treifa setting. Tani gamra, you have to revise it to gamra. Okay. Now the Gemara continues on, Elhadasnan, but still, how do we understand? The whole machlekes there between Reb Lezer, who says that an offspring of a treifa is asur, Rabbi Shua says it's okay. Now we have to shift tracks a little bit, because according to this new approach, there's no possibility of a treifa animal having more offspring, right? Once she turns a treifa, as we had assumed according to the previous version. Right? According to the first version, she became uberis after she became a treifa, and it was caused by the zachar. And the question is, do we reckon with both factors? One factor, zev and zekar. But according to this new approach, it's an impossible proposition to even suggest that a treifa animal should now become expectant. So apparently, when we speak about a vlad of a treifa, that vlad was already there before the behemoth turned treifa. Okay, so the Vlad sort of experienced the treifa impact, the treifa experience, together with the mother. It happened while it was already in there. So what's the machlekes about? How could you say it's okay? Hello, Dasnan. How do we explain the Mishnah? Vlad treifa, the offspring of a mother treifa. Reb Lezer, lo yikrav, l'gabe mizbech. It's not kosher for a carbon. Reb Shoimer, it is yikrav l'gabe mizbech. Makim miflagi. What's the machlekes about? What are the factors at play? Now, first of all, it must be kashe'ibra. First, it became expectant. Ulba'asayf nitzra, and then it experienced that treifa experience with the unborn inside. The machlekes is like this. Does that experience adversely impact the unborn animal? Rabbi Lezer Savar, yes, it does. Ubar yerach imuhu. The unborn is like the thigh of his mother. It's part and parcel of the mother animal. The mother turned treifa, likewise the ubar. You can't separate the two. Rabbi Shua Savar, no, it's a different entity. Ubar lav yerachimu. It's not inherent with the mother. Ask the Gemara Yachi, similar to the kasha we had before, if that's the machlekes. Then why are we focusing on using it for a carbon? Instead of discussing whether it's suitable for a carbon, they could have discussed whether or not it's kosher for regular people to eat as well. I mean, it runs the same question, right? It's meant to highlight Rabbi Shua's point that it's kosher even for a carbon, despite the higher standards you would expect by the carbon material. On the other hand, they could have had the same machlekes regarding personal use. To highlight Rabbi Lezer's stringency that even for a regular person it's unsuitable. Why don't we go that way? The answer is we want to highlight the heter. Now the Brisa there concludes, Umaydem vaday. All agree the beit treifa shasura. An egg coming out of a treifa is asur. How do we explain that? B'deshich kama. The eggs that were there while the mother became a treifa, my timer. So what's the reason to make it asur? Meaning, why would Rabbi Shua agree by the egg that's considered sort of linked, and its fate is so tied to the mother bird, different than by the animal where he said it's separate? Gufi. The egg with the mother, with the chicken, is so intertwined. It's part and parcel of the same entity. And they all agree, even Rabbi Shua agrees, that it's if the mother became a treifa, the egg becomes asur as well. Okay, so in conclusion, we have two versions of Ameimar. According to the first version, it's with the premise that the treifa can have offspring, can lay eggs. So the egg that was present when the mother bird became a treifa is asur as well. Past that point, you're running into the question of zev zegoyim, unless it was self fertilized, in which case there is no kosher element involved, so it's asur. But if there is a kosher element involved, that's called zev zegoyim. That runs you into the machlekes between Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Yeshua. which according to Rabbi Lezer, it's considered asur. According to Rabbi Shua, zev zagayim is mutter. According to the second version, a treifa bird or an animal can have offspring. Cannot have offspring, in which case we're speaking strictly about phenomena that was already there, an egg or an offspring that was already there when the mother bird or animal became a treifa. So by the egg, we certainly say it's part and parcel of the mother bird, in which case it shares the same fate as the mother bird. Mother treifa, egg is treifa. But regarding the unborn animal, that's subject to machlokes. It really depends how we view it. Is it how inherently connected to the mother is it? When Rabbi Lezer it is, it's considered a treifa just like the mother. And according to Rabbi Shua, we deem it as somewhat of a separate entity. And although the mother is a treifa, but the unborn behema within it is unaffected and is considered kosher. And when we say kosher and treif, by the way, we're talking both with respect to using it as a carbon or for personal consumption. Continues the Gemara. What's the conclusion? Meaning, how do you check, how do you confirm regarding a behema that has a suffix treifa status to it? Right? It's a questionable situation, and we have to determine. How do you determine whether it's a treifa? What's the proper way to do it? We had several methods discussed yesterday. The conclusion is, if it's a male animal, the deadline is 12 months, or the lifeline. So if it lasts past 12 months, you know it's healthy. But nekeva kol sheni yuledes, by a nekeva, if it doesn't give birth, meaning if it does have offspring, you know it's certainly not a treifa, because a treifa would not have the ability to do that. Okay, talking about 12-month time spans, Amar Rav Huna, on a totally different topic, Kol Bria, any creature, snail, a worm, a fly, she'ein bo etzem, which was not created with bones, so it's sort of a flimsy, low vitality type of creature. It can't last past 12 months. Okay, so 12 months is its maximum cycle. It can't go past. So based on Rav Huna's statement, we have an interesting application regarding kashrus. Look, Hadamar Shmuel. Shmuel teaches us kishus, like a squash, right? Shlislia, which got wormy, bi'ivel, while still on the ground. And Rashi explains, it's asura. You know why it's asura? Rashi explains because any worm which is sheretz ala eretz, which crawled on the ground, on the earth, in this case, it generated within produce which was still on the ground. That's called sheretz hasheretz ala eretz, in which case that worm, that insect, is asur. Okay, so that's a given. However, suppose you have picked the produce, picked the squash off the ground, it's now detached, and now it develops insects within it, not coming from the outside, but within it. As long as it's still within the thing, technically it's permissible. You can eat those insects. It's not called sheretz hasheretz ala eretz. It didn't really crawl on the ground. Okay, so now let's turn to Talmud Bavli. Hani tamri. Likada, you have this container, this pitcher, this whatever of dried dates. And they're full of worms. But we're not sure when they came about. While still on the tree, sheretz ala eretz, which makes it asur, or did they develop after picking, in which case it's permissible? What do? You wait it out 12 months. So once you're past 12 months, you will know for sure that any insect that perhaps was present while still on the tree is no longer. And according to many Rishonim, it would have disintegrated. And even if you find insects now, you know it was produced after picking, which is okay. Labasa tresi achashata shari, if 12 months, it's okay. Amarav. On this topic, less baka, there's some sort of flea, which doesn't even last a day. Bar Yomi, you don't have a baka, which is a day old. But less didva, nor do you have a didva, which lasts a year. Very short lifespans. Bashat. Amalei Prabhupada Baye. Really? It doesn't last past a year? Rami Inchi, there's this comical saying amongst people. Shave Shani, it's been 7 years already. Imra. Imroi, has rebelled, the she baksa rebelled against the he baksa. Imra baksa, the female, the wife bakta, fly. Mibaka, she rebelled against the husband. The Amrle, she says to him, you don't share your wealth with me? Oh, I got word about the fact that you noticed this healthy, plumpy Mechayza resident. Rashi says they were mu'unagim, u'shmeinim. They knew how to enjoy life. They were nice and plump and healthy. So you noticed this fellow, the Sachavim. I took a swim in the in the water in the pool. The he came out. Wrapped himself with sheets. Got his robe back. And you perched yourself on him. And you sucked out some of his blood. And you didn't even tell me. You're having a good meal. You didn't share with me. What kind of business is that? So this argument, this discontent is going on for 7 years already. In any case, as much as it's meant as a joke, but the fact that we're referring to a baka of 7 years, 7 years old, apparently it lasts past a day. So Abaye responds, according to you. Hadam she had explained the next comical saying that people say, Shitin mani parzala. 60 money is a certain weight of mana. 60 pounds, parzala of metal. Totally the baka was hung around the baka b'kursane in his hammer. He's walking around with this stinger, this hammer, which is very harmful, really powerful. 60-pound hammer. Keep away, watch out from this fellow, right? Do you think literally? Mi'ika, how's that possible? Iu gufe kamavi, how big is this flea? For him to carry a 60-pounder, it's an impossible proposition. Element money did too. It's all relative. Apparently, when we speak about 60 pounds, the money, it means relative to their world, to to his size and to his weight. It's like 60 pounds. Likewise by the baka, which lives merely a day. So a couple of minutes in his lifespan relative to his proportion is like 7 years. It doesn't mean literally 7 years. It's not awesome. Okay. We have a Mishnah. Behema balas heraglayim. You have an animal, a cow, with 5 legs. By the way, I once saw a cow with 5 legs. This was in the Catskills, in the Orange County Fair. It took us in camp. It shows unusual looking animals that farmers bring in to show there was an animal with 2 heads. It wasn't alive, it was stuffed up, but this one was alive. It was a cow with 5 legs. It had one extra one on the back hanging. Okay, behema balas heraglayim. Behema with 5 legs, or it only has 3, so it's missing one. Is a mum. It's a mum, which means to say it's blemished and it can't be used as a carbon. But it's not forbidden. It's not a treifa. It's not considered a life-threatening, blemish. That's only true if it's missing or it has an added hand, forearms. So that's not critical. But if it's in the back and the hind legs, if it's missing one or has an added one, treifa namihavya. It's also considered a treifa. That's a critical situation. It's not going to live too long. By the time of why is, I understand missing, but why is it extra an issue? Kol yeser kinato dami. When there's extra, it's as good as missing. So, just as when it's missing the back leg, where you know that dislocated thigh is even a so you have an extra one. Kinato dami. You know why? Because it interferes. It saps the animal of its resources, which are only meant to be allocated to a certain, limited amount of limbs. And now you have an extra one there sapping away. It disrupts the whole system. And in this case, more is less. In fact, there was this animal, this cow, whatever, the Havala Tartis Sanadivi, talking about extras and duplicates. So here's an interesting story. This animal had 2 Sanya Divi. Sanya Divi, if you remember, that's the compartment on the side of the stomach. It had 2 of them instead of 1. I saw the Ravin, they brought the Ravin of a tarfa. He passed that it's a treifa, because more is less, right? Based on Rafuna's concept of more is less. However, if the 2 compartments spill into each other, that's more or less the same cavity. So we consider them as one, and it's not considered a duplicate, and it's not a treifa. Hayi guvsa. Here comes another animal with a guvsa, like a flesh tube, Davinafka, which was extending from the Mibei Kasi Lov Lila. Again, 2 types of two compartments within the digestive system. Bekasi is the Beis HaKoises, Hovlila is the Hemses, and there's another channel running between them which doesn't belong there. Savar Rav Ashi L'mitzvah, he figures it's a treifa because it has like an extra organ. Amali Rav Huna Mar Bar Chia, he says to Rav Ashi, hold it. Yeah, the more domesticated animals don't present this interesting feature, but the ones out there, the less domesticated, cows or whatever, Kolhani, all those chevi, the beasts, priyasa out there in the wild, they all have this. So it's a very normal thing. It's not a treif. How Gov said there was another tube, that was traveling me by Kasi Lakarsa, between the Beis HaKoises and the main stomach. So it had another channel, which is not normal. Sabar Mabar Vashi Lachshura. He figured, okay, just as in the previous case, it was okay, so here as well, it's somewhat normative. So Rashi says no, just because in the other case it's not a treifa because it's normative, you can't compare two conditions. Atu, you mean kulu, all bechada machisa and one weaving machsinu, when we weave together, you can't. You wove it all together as one. No, you can't compare situations. Every condition is unique and distinct. Heicha de itma. In a case where we have learned that it's common, that it's considered okay, itma, then yeah. Such as in the previous case, hechle itma, but when we don't have a tradition on it, we don't have it established as okay, lo itma, then no. You can't compare two cases. Here it's extra organ, it's considered a treif. Heid Nasan Bar Shila, he testified, he was the Rav Tabachai Tzipori, the head butcher in Tzipori. He testified lefnei in front of Rebbe, al shnei bnei me'ayim. So there was a brisa. You have an animal with two bnei me'ayim, are the intestines. So we have two instead of one. Two of them coming out of the stomach echad as one. So they're coming out side by side. Treifa. Because more is less, right? However, this situation, my bird is okay because it's something that's common. Says the Gemara, but when do we say that the double intestines present a problem by the behema? They're coming out of two different sides of the stomach. If they're coming out of the same spot, and they join together at a distance of a finger width, we'll see in a minute what this means, then, even though they appear to be separate, we merge them together, consider them as one, and as ksher, the animal's okay. Pliga, but there's machlekes in terms of interpreting the words of this brayso between Rav Ami and Rav Asi. I want to explain that the merge happens right away. Hu dahadri va'arvi. That when the brayso allowed this double intestinal animal, that's only when they merge together within an antzpa, finger width, of their point of exit. So immediately they merge together, they consolidate, it's okay. That's one approach. The other one explained, no, even if they didn't merge back together, it's okay. Now, according to the first approach, it's only considered fine if they merge back together. But that explains the brayso. Make sure they come back within that first inch, right? Within that first etz. According to the second approach, even if they don't merge together, they're okay. What does the brayso mean? Until a finger width. What does that mean? It refers to the bottom at the end where the animal expels its waste. So we have two separate intestinal systems, but as long as at the end, before they reach that exit point, so a finger width before that last, section of the channel which expels the, Rashi says samach al nekav, right at the exit point, the hole, the exit point. If they reconnect right there, and there's at least one finger width of merged tubes, that facilitates a proper functioning of the system, and it's okay. Back to the Mishnah, the last item regarding a bird is missing noitza. Noitza is the furry, soft feathers flesh to the bird's skin. According to Rabbi Yehuda, if that's gone, the animal is left without proper protection. It's like his whole skin is gone. And it's a treifa. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, I found a corresponding opinion which links up with Rabbi Yehuda. That considers the noitza like part of the actual skin, and just like if the animal is missing its skin, we learned gluda, right, missing its skin, it's been peeled off its treifa. Here as well, missing noitza is like missing skin. Rabbi Yehuda, who subscribes to that correlation, and also Rabbi Shmuel, Amru Davar Echad, are both on the same page. They both consider the noitza like the skin. Rabbi Yehuda Amar, Rabbi Yehuda, we just said, considers it a treifa. Rabbi Shmuel is elsewhere by pigul, right? It's not Rabbi Shmuel Eimer Hanoitza Mitzdarefes. So a person was makar of the chatos bird with the intention of eating kazayas of that bird, in a week's time, out of the the wrong time, right? Chutz l'zmanei, the bird is now pigul. But let's say instead of thinking about a kazayas of flesh, he says, I'm going to eat a half a kazayas of bird flesh and a half a kazayas of the noitza. According to Rishon, it's pigul, because the noitza is considered edible, just as the skin of a bird is edible, so the noitza is equated with the skin. Hence, Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Yehuda on the same page, noitza and the skin, all the same thing. It's not Rabbi Shmuel, Eimah, noitza mitzdarefes. You can combine the noitza with the flesh regarding the kazayis for pigul. Amar Rava, no, who says to connect the two? Dilmaloi, perhaps they're not linked. Adkan, loi, k'amar Rabbi Yehuda, perhaps it's only here Rabbi Yehuda says that missing noitza renders him a treifa. Regarding a treifa, there's no protection. He's exposed to the elements, he's as good as dead. But in order to make it pigul, perhaps he was like the Rabbanan, the noitza is not really edible. I'm thinking about eating the noitza, does make it pigul. On the other hand, va'adkan, like Rabbi Shmuel Hasan, perhaps it's only there Rabbi Shmuel says that the noitza is considered like the skin of the bird. Ella only linear fguli, he holds that it makes it pigul because it's edible. It's like thinking about the flesh itself. Linear treifa regarding treifa status. Agunulay Megan, who says the noitza is playing such a critical role in protecting the animal, and therefore who says he holds like Rabbi Yehuda that missing the noitza makes it a treifa? Okay, so at this point we have the discussion regarding 12-month lifespan of the treifa, 12-month lifespan of the ants and worms and fleas. We discussed some animals with duplicate avarim. We had the chiddush of Rav Huna, kol yeser k'noto dami, more is considered less. We had some stories about it, and we had a discussion regarding the status of the noitza. Continues the mission. Achuzas hadam. Okay, so we have a behema who is gripped with this blood condition, which means to say you see a reddish complexion, there's something wrong with circulation. So although the animal is ill, but it doesn't mean it's a treifa, vamushenes, or it had inhaled smoke. Vamitzunenes, it got a real bad cold. Hardufni ate hardufni, which is, Rashi says, poison for a behema. Tanagolim ate chicken, which of course is not very healthy for the or drank water which had been exposed to the elements, to the snakes, and perhaps contains venom. In all these situations, even though the animal is perhaps very ill, but it doesn't make it a treifa. Treifa is specific to deficiencies, blemishes which cannot be rectified, which cannot be healed. But a severely ill animal, although it's not necessarily going to survive if not taken care of properly, but it doesn't make it a treifa. Okay, part 2 of the Mishnah. Let's say the animal did ingest real poison that's poisonous to a person, but not to an animal. Or struck by a snake, which again endangers a person who eats the animal, but not the animal itself, in many cases. In this case, again, it's not a treifa, but you got to keep away. You don't get close to it, because if a person ingests this material, it can be dangerous to the person eating it. Amar Shmuel, he'll eat a chiltis. But if the animal is fed something called chiltis, Rashi says zara, some sort of really strong, sharp, vegetable or whatever, treifa. Now the animal's a treifa. You know why? My time the min kavalulu mayane, it bores through it. It gives the animal ulcer. It can damage it to the point of it considered to be a treifa. So we assume that's what happened, and it's a treifa. Masar of Sheis, we have a question on Shmuel, who says chiltas makes the animal a treifa. We have a brayso which is very similar to our Mishnah, but with a couple of differences. We'll see. Achuzat hadam, so an animal which is ill, v'moshenes, shachlar dufni. Okay, so far so good. V'shachal tois hanagoylim, v'sheshes ma'im arayim. Okay, this is so far like the Mishnah. Here comes the added cases. He'll eat a tia, chiltas or pilpin. He fed it tia, chiltas, and pilpin, sharp foods. Achal samamaves, or the animal ate samamaves. Poison. Kshera. The animal's still kosher. So right off the bat, it seems to contradict Shmuel, who says that chiltas gives the animal ulcer, makes him a treif, and here it says it's okay. The Brisa continues. Kisha Nachash was struck by a snake, Kisha Nachash killed shaita, or attacked by a wild dog, in which case a person shouldn't be eating this material by the snake, because the venom is dangerous for a person, and killed shaita, because he has some sort of evil spirits that can affect his victim and can carry on to the person eating it. Muteres mishum treifa. In these cases, again, the animal is not a treifa, but a human should not be consuming this material. So we have a double contradiction. First of all, kasha achiltis achiltis. The first question was chiltis. Shmuel says chiltis is considered dangerous, makes the animal a treifa, and here the Brisa, we're not concerned. Number two, kasha samamaves asamaves. We have another contradiction. In the Mishnah it says the animal that eats samamaves, although it's not a treifa, but you keep away, it's hazardous, it's dangerous for a person. And the Brisa says samamaves is kshera, no concerns whatsoever. Says the Gemara, let's take care of one at a time. Chiltis achiltis akash. Regarding the question of chiltis, well, it depends what part of the plant. Like kasha, kan ba'al, and kan bekrotin. Bryce is speaking about leaves of the chiltis plant, which aren't detrimental to the animal. Kan bekrotin. Shmuel is speaking about the particles of the actual body of the whatever it is. Regarding samamaves and samamaves, that's also not a question. Like kasha, that's also something we can answer. Hadi da hada adam. The Bryce, which is not concerned about samamaves, is talking about poison which can affect a behemoth, not a person. And therefore a person is free to eat it. Whereas in the Mishnah where it says that's dangerous, that's talking about human poison. Says the Gemara, okay, so the Brisa is speaking about animal poison only? Samamavas the behemoth, hainar dufne. Why did the Brisa even discuss that? It was already discussed in the Brisa in the previous example. It said achla har dufne, which we know to mean animal poison. So why discuss two cases? Hainar dufne. You're right, Trey Gafni samamaves. The Brisa is just going through different cases of samamaves, of behemoth, but ultimately they only affect the behemoth and not the person eating it. One more question. What is the tia that the Brisa mentioned? My tia, what is this tia plant? Amar Yehuda, ikra de is the root of a plant which has very sharp venom or whatever that can actually injure the animal that eats it. Okay, so we had a Mishnah and a Brisa discussing cases which will make the animal treifa to the sharpness and the ulcer producing effect of these materials, whereas we have other cases where although the animal itself is okay, but one should refrain from eating it because of sakanas nefashos to the human who ingests it. All the best to you and hatzlacha, Rabbi.